Good morning, children. I'm glad to see you again, and Jack is so glad to see you too. He's been waiting to see you. He said, please read another story. I know it's time for the children. I want to talk to the children. But Jack and I have been talking about new beginnings because it is springtime now. And when you look outside, you see the flowers blooming and the sun is shining brightly. And you see some butterflies flying by too. I have one here on a stick, and Jack just loves to chase butterflies. He never catches them, but he tries really hard. But here's this little butterfly. It's just beautiful. Jack, did you catch this butterfly? No, he didn't catch it. But anyway, this butterfly is a sign of spring. And also I've been knitting a little butterfly washcloth. It's actually a washcloth with a design of a butterfly in it because it made me think about spring when I do it, and I thought this color yellow made it look very springish. But the story that also reminds me of spring is, of course, the story we hear on Easter Sunday. And it's about excuse me, Jack, I didn't mean to put the book in front of your face. The story is about our dear Lord Jesus, who had died on the cross for us, and then the women went to the tomb because that's where they thought he was. But guess what? Jesus was beginning something totally new. He had risen from the dead. No one had ever done that. And Jesus was the first one because he overcame death for us. But let me tell you what happened. Mary didn't realize that something new had begun. So she was still doing some of the old things. So I'm going to read you about some of the old things that Mary was doing before the new thing began. Joseph of Arimathea, now that's a big name, but he was a man that was a leader in Israel. And as he was a secret disciple of Jesus. That's interesting, isn't it? He was a secret disciple. He asked Pilate for permission to bury the body of Jesus before the Sabbath day began at sunset, and that would have been on Saturday. That's when their Sabbath was. Joseph was helped by his friend Nicodemus. You may have heard of Nicodemus before. If you haven't, there's a whole story about him. They wrapped the body and laid it in a new tomb that was cut out of rock. Then they rolled a huge stone in front of the entrance and went home. Well, as soon as the Sabbath was over, because the Jewish people back then could not do anything on the Sabbath until it was over, Mary Magdalene and another woman came to the tomb. To their great surprise, the stone had been rolled back from the entrance, and the tomb was empty. The women ran to tell the disciples what they'd found, and Peter and one of the others came to see for themselves. Afterwards, Mary stayed in the garden. She was crying because she was so sad that Jesus was dead. She was so sad, and she couldn't find his body. Someone spoke to her asking, "Woman, why are you crying?" "And they have taken my Lord," she sobbed, "and I don't know where they have put him." Excuse me, Jack, I keep hiding you behind the book. There, Jack. She thought she was talking to one of the gardeners because, see, she still thought Jesus was dead. "Sir, if you have taken him away, tell me where you've put him, and I can give him a proper burial." "Mary," said the stranger softly. Suddenly, Mary knew that voice. "Master," she cried joyfully, and she threw herself at Jesus. He said, "Don't cling to me, but go and tell my friends that you have seen me." Well, children, that's what Jesus wants us to do. That when we know him And when we know what he has done for us on this special Easter day, we can tell our friends and share this good news with them that Jesus has risen. He has risen indeed.